Hello, everyone, and very warm good evening to each one of you, and welcome back to the webinar show organized by Jabalpur Smart City and Jabalpur Incubation Center. Hope you all are doing great with your startup idea and with your innovation mindset. So, our previous session was about the what's and why of scaling up of a startup. And as per our training calendar, we have today's session on scaling fast versus scaling slow, the role of risk. So, in our today's session, we will going to understand the different parameter which need to take care when you plan to scale your startup idea, to scale your business. So today with us, we have Mr. Ayush Keshri with us, who will going to share his knowledge, experience, and will going to describe what are the different parameters which we need to take care when we plan to scale up our business. So on behalf of Jabalpur Smart City, we welcome you, Ayush ji, for today's session.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So let me quickly introduce our today's speaker. Mr. Ayush Keshri is the founder and CEO of Human Library Cafe. So the concept of Human Library Cafe is basically a innovative visionary space which grants individual the liberty to express themselves, dive into the world of literature and share their captivating life narrative with each other. It's a kind of innovative platform which nurture the connection, promoting understanding in our global community. Mr. Ayush has expertise in project management, strategic implementation, campaign strategy, and many other things. So today we will going to learn lots of about how we can plan to scale up our business idea. So with this, now I request to you, Ayush ji, please start.
I thank you for giving an opportunity me to fix my ideas and strength. And I'd like to thank Jabalpur Incubation Center for taking such initiatives, helping startups to grow. Today's topic, it's very interesting, I would say, and at the same time, it's a challenging as well. Why I'm saying it's interesting? We all would like to hear good stories. At the same time, challenging that when it comes to scaling, we all have different mindset, and each cities have different psychologically or this into it. So today we'll discuss. Let's see how I justice to this idea and this topic. But one thing is very sure that I'll speak very genuine things and with case study which of ours and also this examples which you see in the slides will have an impact into it. But I appreciate each one of you who've been participating this conference today or having any idea or doing any startups because having a startups is all about taking risks. We all live our careers and good careers, good jobs, good things, and we are ready to struggle and do something which we want to do. So it's not easy to be something doing, having a team, then looking for a salary, and then invest into it time and effort, and then you get nothing many a times. It also happens. So I appreciate each one of you for taking such initiatives, whatever work you are doing. So congratulate yourself each day. Wish all the best and say that you will rock and you'll do something great. So you're not only one who is thinking for yourself, but also you are creating jobs. In future, maybe you could be Ratan Tata and other people like others and Indians we have. So I wish you all the best. Let's start the today's topic. It says growing risk, the growing role of risk in scaling startups. Whether we should scale it fast or scale it slow, or whether we should stop till we have it. So let's start it. I'll go within one ready example, which will very so with Indian roots, right? So if you say India, when it comes to India as a country, as a culture, we are very diverse. We say, even in the constitutions of ours, that 22 languages are listed, but we have more than 1400 language or 1400 dialects, which we say. So when it comes to languages, we are so diverse. Same into cultures, we are so diverse when it comes to our way of behaviors, the way we worship, the way we celebrate festivals, the way we see ourselves. Same in India. If we are doing something into India, any startups, if we are doing it India level, it's very important to understand the diverse set into it. So when it comes to scaling slow or scaling fast, to consider, right? When it comes to scaling fast, we have an opportunities, different set of opportunities which we can look into it. Like when it comes to scaling, for example, Byju's when it started in India, they understand one domain and they found one great problem while they were working into this idea. And their problems were while we were into schools and colleges, creativity was missing somewhere. Like for example, what Byju's was trying to do earlier, when you were studying physics, chemistry, biology, so you cannot experience the topics which are listed in your books. You can see the pictures, you can visualize it, but you cannot feel it. You cannot experience it. What Byju's has transformed the whole education system with the videos and the content. They actually made it you experience it. So when it comes to physics, you can experience the atoms, you can experience the molecule, you can experience the relations between molecules and chemical reactions happening there. You can see how biological process been taking place there. So actually, Byju's filled the gap, and Byju's knew the potential of them that India is very vast when it comes to education. And at the same time, when Byju's was doing well, they have a good set of people who have joined Byju's, especially good students, because Byju's fees was very high, more than 1 lakh rupees, or 2 lakh or 3 lakhs for a year when you subscribe to Byju's systems. People actually trusted, and good schools who were capable of paying such fees, the students and their parents, they paid for it. But I just realized that the potential of the Indian market is very high. They realized we listed in Bangalore, we did it good in Bangalore and Karnataka. Now we would like to get into other states of India. They wanted to scale it and they wanted to get into any parts, each parts in each district of ours. They spread it into Delhi, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, everywhere. Now, when it comes to scaling, while Byju's was working into it, why I'm saying this case study because this is very recent of us and we can understand how and we can feel it also. That potential which Byju's has actually was a gap in every state of India. Not only Karnataka people were facing issues of having experienced these issues, but also the people who were into other state also they have same problem. They cannot feel and experience the content which they were into books, topics which are. Byju's can help into it. But when Veju started expanding this whole systems into the whole nation of the nation, COVID hit back to us. When COVID hit back, Byju's actually got an opportunity to double and triple the scale of the business because schools were off and you have an opportunity now. Even students who are not uh, part of this whole issues, right? They were not aware of Byju's. Now they can get an opportunity to learn online and they can have the better teacher than school's teacher. At the same time, what Byju's did, no, they have a target audience. Each year they have segments and they have marketing executive which used to try into it. When Beju started scaling into COVID, they scaled well. They have all centers working well. But when it comes to 2022, I would say, from January onwards, things started collapsing there. And Byju's has to face losses. By November 2022, Byju's was in news with the bad news into it that the investors have not what promises they were having with investor relationship into it, investment they pulled their lag back. They pulled their investment back. They wanted money back. Byju's were having a financial issue that time. Why? Because the transaction which were happening and then Byju's scale which they were showed to the investors that they will be touching this Indian market and this will going to happen. And similarly, they'll have a certain good numbers of students will be joining into it. At the same time, Byju's was having a target with the marketing executive. They used to approach into it. I worked into Byju's, and that's where I know the reality also of how Byju collapsed. Okay, I'm sharing this example. So what happened when the marketing executives people were, they had a target to complete 300 inquiries each day minimum. The 300 people at least need to fill up there. When it happens, so what people used to do, marketing executive, just to fill the data and numbers, they started putting the numbers of rickshaw walas, autos walas, and everyone. Because this was one-time installment, you need to pay just 15,000 rupees, and if you don't like the course, you can ask for the refund and you can tell. So this marketing executive used to go to rickshaw walas, autos walas, and PL people who was very small people to their homes and impress them that the children will be an IS officers, they'll become something and they'll become something. So they enrolled for the courses, but then they didn't like good, they didn't like fine well. Uh, they did not get a refund. Similar ways because they don't have money also to pay 1 lakh or 2 lakh. Lot of such calls, such conversions, which actually bought the courses of Byju's had to back, and that's what numbers went back. And that was one instance which I'm sharing that Byju's went wrong. And the same way Byju's started located now, Byju's have laid off more than 8,000 employees till now to the whole incident, and they're left with very few now. They have challenges now, and they have different set of challenges. So one thing which we I realized while Byju's case studies is you might have a good product, you may have a very strong market, you understand the market also, and people also believe same way. But having right buyers and with the right intention is very important. For example, Byju's have targeted only high-end people, and they would have bought the courses. For them, it would have not been easy. But when the Byju's have started multiplying their customers, they started targeting auto dwellers, rickshaw dwellers. By what I'm using it, I should not use these words. But the paying capacity was not that the Byju's courses. The chances were probability was very high that they may come down and they get it happen. So that's where we once we come to scale up, even we are ready to scale up, we're ready to with funds. It's very important to analyze the market, analyze the right market for your product with the right strategy. And Byju's expanded so fast that they didn't have a time to look into the loopholes. They have worked well into Karnataka and other states. They found okay, we can scale with the same processes, same way, same something. But each states have their different buying capacity. Their mind psychology is very different. So it's very important that once you start scaling, you should watch your steps. And when you scale very fast, you don't have an opportunity to look back. You cannot look back and you cannot see what went wrong because you're scaling very fast. And so look back at what is happening wrong, you will scale that fast, right? So and when you scale slow, there are other risks. So the scaling fast and scaling factors are very important, but we need to analyze it. The very first, I was like that in the presentation said, right? It's important to analyze and assess the market. So ultimately, are dependent on market. We'll go into consumers, buyers, service providers, or product people who are selling it. They are from the market. So it's very important to analyze, assess your market. And it's not only that it's Byju's have analyzed the market. They understood that they have a huge market. But each market, each region, each areas have different people staying there. So marketing strategy, their psychological behavior, their purchasing behavior, their understanding, their cultural issues will be very different. So it may be you may have done a pilot in a very small region, and you have identified this could have worked into other sets of it, but it will not be able because your whatever pilot which you have done, maybe their psychological, their market areas, their understanding and the culture would be very different. So it's very important to understand and assess the market of each region where you would like to explore or you want to scale. Second, the resources and capabilities. So it's very important. While Byju's had a very strong point, what I'm telling you, while Byju's started scaling up, they were very strong with their team and resources. Before they scale, they were having a team members who were ready to implement their ideas. So they did not that into a okay, so we'll scale and then we'll hire employee. No, they had a plan because within 6 months they have a six centers to be coming up in their offices. Before 3 months, they'll start hiring other people. So resources and the capabilities up there, they have actually worked in advance. It's very important for you also. If you are trying to expand your idea to others, see your resources, see your people who are working, the employees, and the capabilities also. Maybe I am capable of working 10 hours, 12 hours. I can handle a team of 10 people, but I'm not capable of handling 100 people. I may not give 12 hours to 14 hours to a work. I may be capable of doing these things, but I'm not capable of these things. For example, I'm very good in marketing, I'm good in branding, I'm good in image building, I'm good in promotions, campaigning, but I'm not good in lecturing. I may not be good in uh, presentation. I may not be good in pitching. So these things you need to look your capabilities also. The people who are working under you, many times what also do, we scale on the basis of which we have, and we understand that these people will be able to handle all pressures which will be coming in future. No, we also need to realize that whatever resources you have, whatever systems, people you have created it, are they capable enough to run the whole organization? Are they capable enough to lead the whole organization? Are they capable enough to take this idea furthermore which you are taking? So capabilities are very important. Your strengths. What happens many times, for example, I tell you, I was running when I was an NGO, Young Association, in 2010 when I started. Right? So we had a 5 states. We expanded into 5 states, and we were working there. I realized that I had a very good team of set of people who were working with me with as in Young Association. So when you have a good set of people, you are motivated enough to do good work, and you're enough to have it. But when we started expanding our paths to different states of India, like we were in Delhi, then we went to Uttarakhand, we went to Haryana, we went to Uttar Pradesh, we went to Bihar. And when we started expanding, we started losing people out of us. Many of our volunteers have left the work, and I didn't have the time to look back that time. But when I look back now, I realize the people who were promised me to contribute 4 hours, and they were doing happily to it. Now, why they left? Because they were had to do 8 hours into it. So they promised me 4 hours, and they were happily doing it. And we had a very good relationship because we were doing good work and we were helping each other underprivileged children. But my expectations for scaling this idea, there was not, and they didn't expected so much of pressure on them because they were doing in idea that they are doing serving people at their comfort level. And when I started when the whole organization started expanding, obviously we had a very small team that time. So obviously that team also only had a pressure to handle everything. So when you have an idea that 4 hours is enough, you would be, but you had to give for 8 hours or 12 hours. Then you start losing interest. You start losing motivation. You start losing some way the connections. Or maybe I would say that effort which you are making into it. Many times you're not capable enough. I'm going to tell you what mistake also I made it, and I also read a lot of case studies. Also, I'm saying it. Many times you're not capable enough. Also, maybe I can give at 8 hours, maybe 12 hours, but I'm not capable enough to lead every day. I'm not capable. I'm not that strengthful. Have a lot of source skills that I can actually contribute to all these areas which I've contributed to it. So that's very important. So whenever you have an idea to scale, especially scaling fast, you should already have people in place. Should have a good strength of people who will be improving and taking into it. So scaling 10 times should have a 10 times people already into your offices. So example, you're scaling, now you're working in Delhi, now you have a 8 reason to come in future. It's very important to have 8 times team to be sitting in front of them, whatever team you're into it. That's very important. Analyze the competitive landscape industries are very important. when we start a pilot and when we start in startups, many a times the competitive analysis are very important because their strategy, their market area, where we're entering into it, somewhere somebody has already have taken into it somewhere. If our idea is very unique, we may have advantage to enter into the market, but at the same time, there is some other organizations who already working into it. So when we enter any market, so each market is very different. So when I'm saying you about our idea, Human Library Cafe, we're expanding into it now. So already we may not have a competitors which we are working with. We don't have any direct competitors, but we have cafes all around India. We have restaurants, and they are our competitors basically. So these people whom we are calling for coffee and tea and snacks in our cafe, apart from what we are offering to it, at the same time, uh, they already had a market, and each states have their own restaurants and own chains of it, and their own cafes are there, their own marketing strategies. So it's very important to understand the market, analyze it, the competitors, see how did their all indirect competitors would be possible. Not indirect, maybe indirect to indirect, for example. Any sectors of education, maybe policies, maybe transportations, maybe any areas that you're working on. Find out the competitors, especially in each region, I would say, not only to the area where you have done pilot, but also the region where you are trying to expand it, because the competitors are very important. They may not help you with their idea of set how they enter into market, but their marketing strategy can help you to prepare your marketing strategy. As I said, India is very diverse. The culture is very rich. We have more than 1,400 dialect, right? So each region has their own identity to it. So marketing area is very rich. So I would say, no, I many a times when I had to prepare marketing strategy for any idea, like when I consult any startups or operations, I also look how political parties work. Any political party. Consider I to consider them as an venture as a business also. So now they have a very great marketing strategy. If we consider Bharatiya Janata Party, who is currently leading in the country in most of the states, see the campaigning styles of them. Each states have a different campaigns. They don't have a central one campaign formula which they look. They have a different states and they accordingly they look into it. So it's very important to analyze the competitive.
आई थिंक द पॉइंट थर्ड जो है वो स्टार्टअप को समझना बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है बिकॉज स्केलिंग स्लो और फास्ट इज बोथ द ऑप्शन दे नीड टू ट्रीट इट राइट क्योंकि अगर इंडस्ट्री ट्रेंड्स कुछ और हैं और वो बहुत स्लो हैं तब भी उनको लॉस होने वाला है और अगर उन्होंने बहुत जल्दी स्केल अप कर लिया है और वो अपने मार्केट को सर्व नहीं कर पा रहे हैं तब भी उनको एक लॉस होने वाला है so dear startup it is very important to understand the both the way like in both side you need to take care where you need to scale up fast or where you need to take little step towards to scale up your industry बिकॉज अगर आपने इंडस्ट्री के ट्रेंड्स फॉलो नहीं करे तो आप स्लोली जो है आप स्केल अप कर रहे हैं देन आप कस्टमर की नीड्स फुलफिल नहीं कर पाएंगे सो इन बोथ द वे वी नीड टू टेक केयर the scaling parameter of our startup, right, Ayush?
Yeah. I would come that point on the next slide where we were discussing both way, right? But I give an example like once it comes to scaling it up, it's very important to your strategy has to be very on placed. It's not about scaling only, right? It's also about growth of yours, about yours, your teams, your idea, your vision, which you would like to explore into it. So you should have everything on place. Yes, scaling is very important. If you're not scaling it, you're losing everything. Because at the same time, you're losing your idea to others. Maybe you may be working in Karnataka, but people who are in Bihar, they got in this idea and they got into it. For example, the Uber, when they started in their country, America, India had Ola. So Ola is somewhere copied from Uber itself. Uber came India after Ola. When Ola wasn't very popular in India, then Uber came to India. But at the same time, if you see, Uber was not able to expand to India that time. Same way, that's good horizon. So Ola came with an idea with their own brand entity and they took the market. So same way, when you are not very able to scale your business at the right moment also, the competitors, the other people who will come with their idea, they'll come with different mindset, they're psychological, and they will sub to your own idea itself. Yeah. So it's very important to scale also. Same time you need to understand how you want to scale it. Understanding the risk growth related decisions, which I already discussed in earlier terms also while I was discussing it. The three important slides as you say, the financials, the operational and the market. So financials we haven't discussed as of now. Operational we have discussed. I've already told my example of my NGO. Will tell you what kind of operational research we can have. Market it also have discussed it how you can get into it how Byju's actually have paid. But let's talks about potentials financial risk involved into consideration. But I would speak more into positive as well as negative as well. It's very important because everything goes on finance only. So even if you're scaling and you're not into profits, there's no use of scaling. But if you're not scaling but you're into profit, that's very important. So financials have very important parts. It comes to when it comes to scaling it up, are you financially capable to hire 10 times scale up, which you are saying 10 times employee can pay, yeah, having a salaries in your accounts? At least 6 months of salaries should be having a pocket. Because when you start scaling up, the revenue would not scale as your scale up, maybe because you will have lots of adventures, expenditures on investments more into marketing, promotions, branding, and once the new employees join into your organizations, they take time to understand the concept to get into it. So revenue may take time to get same way which you were working into your pilot or maybe your area, maybe 6 months. So at least you should have a 6 month. Do you have a 6 month backup, 10 times employees which you will hire to hire? Second, the financial risk, which would say, when you do any work, right? For example, you already have a settled cost, you're into profits. But when it comes to something which you are not prepared to, they may have a loss as well. You have already have a set of employees you have hired. May not be you don't have people, revenues have not generated after 6 months. So you will ultimately less the losses. For example, a Byju's which I've shared, Byju's have calculated their risk. They hired good set of people to run the operations, but somewhere they went wrong. And after what happened, they had to lay off more than 8,000 people out of the project. Byju's into losses as of now, as it says. So it's very important to understand the financial risk, see how your revenues will come, what time you expect the revenue to come, see how you will balance it, see how you will reach the break even, see how your accounts is looks like, see if it doesn't work, the scaling project doesn't work, what are the next step you'll take, are the you're going to play off or whatever things which you're doing into it. You'll be very prepared. You should have a very things are very prepared into it. So it's very important to take care of the financial risk. And many times I would suggest one thing: when we scale our business, we invest a lot of money into branding and advertising, promotions, campaigning, and that may not come into returns. So maybe you what you put into employees of yours, hiring people and giving them a salary for a work, you may have a recovery because there are people who are working with it. But whatever money you expand on marketing and branding and promotions, they come in directly to your accounts, but they may not come directly to your accounts. It's very important to spend wisely what you do promotions and marketing. So that's what I say. Now, strategy for managing risk and startup growth. So it's something very important, I would say, because ultimately we want to grow and we want to do well in things. So I already discussed these things in earlier, but I would repeat it in some way. So it's very important to have a well growth developed strategy. So if you ask me, right, what's my plan for Human? So next 3 years I have plans. It's very clear in my mind where will be, what cities I am, what I'll be doing, what are the who aspects we are looking into it, and how we'll take care of everything. So it's very important to have a well-defined growth marketing strategy as well as your whole organization strategy. Should be tips of yours. For example, when we were into schools, we used to learn a lot of, especially science students used to learn the periodic table. If I can connect to periodic table, if you can remember it. So we have to learn such items, ions, and their molecules, numbers, and everything. So it's same way, your strategy of growth should be on your tips. So it should be so refined, so defined that anybody should ask you, what's your plan for next 3 months? That should be in tips. Because we are entering into 5 cities. These 5 cities will have these reasons. We have understand this psychological behavior. We have looked into it, their strategies, cultures, everything, biographies and everything. We realize this is the gap and we are filling into it. And this is something which is happening. So it's well defined, not to you only, but your team as well. You may be very clear with your mindset that where we want to do, but a leader is a good leader when it is taken by other people the same way. For example, I know what human level cafe will look like after 3 years, how it will look like, how many numbers of cafes will be in a country of ours. At the same time, are your people who are working under you or with you are aware of the same plans? Or they are ready for the same operations and same enthusiasms? Do they have a same feeling which you have? That's very important to have. So please, whenever you have any idea to expand or scale, this develop a strategy is very important. It's to be very, very tip of yours. Now, implementing high effective risk assessments and mitigation techniques. Obviously, when you scale, risk could be there. We cannot say कि scaling होगा तो risk नहीं है भाई, कर सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. रिस्क है और नहीं करने पे भी रिस्क है और नहीं करने पे ज़्यादा रिस्क है. स्केल ज़्यादा करने पे तो रिस्क है कि ठीक है हम डूब सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर नहीं करोगे तो फिर तो बचना ही नहीं है, फिर तो कुछ है ही नहीं, फिर आप स्टार्टअप ही नहीं है. तो रिस्क है जब आप स्केल करें. रिस्क इज वेरी हाई व्हेन यू scale it up. But we can actually learn out of people's experiences. The startup who failed, the companies who have done wrong, we can have the case studies and we can prepare the effective assessment of ours. We can mitigate some technique so that we can prepare ourselves कि ये पता है ये होगा. जब हम इस जगह पे जा रहे हैं तो ऐसा होगा, ऐसा हो सकता है. अगर हमें पता है ये चीज़ हो सकता है, हमें पता है कुछ केस स्टडीज हमने देख रखा है, वी हैव सीन सर्टेन केस स्टडीज, रेड सब ऑफ, तो विल बी प्रिपेयर्ड एनफ. तो अगर वो आपके साथ होगा भी तो आप उसको मिटिगेट कर सकते हैं, आप उसको मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं और आप स्ट्रांगली ग्रो कर सकते हैं. तो तैयार रहिए. ऐसा नहीं कि हम लोग अच्छा अच्छा ही सोचे, गुड थॉट्स अरे 5 साल में एक्सपैंड हो जाएंगे, 120 हो जाएंगे और ऐसा सा हो जाएगा. क्या नहीं होगा ये सोचना भी बहुत ज़रूरी है. मे बी 5 साल में नहीं हुआ तो फिर क्या करेंगे, नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या है हमारा. और अगर हमारे आइडिया को किसी ने स्केल करने से पहले कोई आके चुरा ले रहा है तो हम क्या कर ले रहे हैं, तो वो एनालाइज कर लीजिए. एनालाइज करने के साथ साथ आप उस रिस्क के लिए तैयार रहिए, क्या कर सकते हैं हम उसको. एंड बिल्ड अ कल्चर ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन एंड लर्निंग फ्रॉम द फेलियर, विच आई वॉज अभी ये बोल ही रहा था मैं. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आपका टीम जो है ना, अगर इफ योर टीम इज वेरी मोटिवेटेड एंड दे अंडरस्टैंड दैट फेलियर इज ओके. And when I take sessions with students, I always ask कि स्कूल के स्टूडेंट्स को भी, आर वी ओके विद फेलियर्स. मनी टाइम्स वी नॉट एक्सेप्टेड, हम मानते ही नहीं यार फेलियर हो गया तो डूब गया सब कुछ. ऐसा नहीं है. मतलब जिसने 10th में स्कोर नहीं किया उसको लगता है लाइफ खत्म हो गई, जिसने 12th में अच्छा स्कोर नहीं किया उसको लगता है अब तो कुछ बचा ही नहीं, जिसने आईटी करना था आईटी नहीं कर पाए उसको लगता है अब लाइफ में कुछ बचा नहीं. ऐसा नहीं है. फेलियर से हम बहुत कुछ सीख सकते हैं और जरूरत नहीं कि हमारे ही फेलियर से हम सीखें, हम दूसरों के फेलियर से भी बहुत कुछ सीख सकते हैं और उस फेलियर से हम खुद को बेहतर बना सकते हैं, खुद को स्ट्रांग बना सकते हैं और हम उस आइडिया पे स्केल कर सकते हैं जहाँ पे हम उस आइडिया तक पहुँचाना सकते हैं. तो लर्न, हैव अ कल्चर एंड यू शुड अप्रिशिएट योर पीपल एवरी टाइम व्हेन दे फेल, रेदर देन सेइंग यार तुमने कुछ नहीं किया, तुम क्या कर रहे हो, तुम्हारे पास टैलेंट नहीं है, स्किल्स नहीं है. अप्रिशिएट देम, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, इस बार हम फेल किए बट लेट्स प्रॉमिस आवरसेल्फ कि विल स्केल इट, विल डू इट वेल नेक्स्ट टाइम. This culture, if you develop appreciating your team in failures, in their failures, I can guarantee you, if sometimes if you have a difficulties paying their salaries, the employees will not leave your company. They'll not leave because they believe they have respect here. To develop this system, it's very important in the culture. If you have the systems, we have your employees believing into the capabilities and giving them an opportunity to do fail, and get an appreciation. So, so if you can innovate this certain piece, please do it. So now, some risks involved in scaling too fast. I already discussed this idea earlier. So we have lot of things which comes into it. Let's discuss point wise so that it could be very clear, it could be pointless. So operation we have discussed, the employees we have discussed, right? We should have 10 times if I have it. We also discussed the customer service issues, which I have given example of Raijus, because people were not ready to pay certain good amount of money, but they were asked to, and they were given something which we were not aware of. They were given a guarantee that they can take the money back and they can have a refund, but they didn't find very system. They have kept calling Baijus, they didn't reply, and that had actually went to Baiju's negative marketing and all happens. Difficulties in pivoting is very important when you pitch because areas is very diverse. So when you pitch your idea, it's very important. So I'll give three examples here while comparing legal complying issues and pivoting your issues. That's very important. While uh, Uber was working into their country, when they started scaling up, actually doing well, Uber, when they started their startups. So when they started scaling up, they had three issues, the three things which they have faced, while they were not prepared of it. Because before the Uber came into existence, there were no certain startups or company who done so well those skills and idea. The very first they had legal, because each state had their legal compliances. Might be you have worked in Delhi, maybe Uttar Pradesh they have different legal systems, their own policies, process will be different. I'll give you an Ola example. If you go to Goa in India, you cannot hire Ola and Uber there in Goa, because Goa may you have their own cab services, Goa Miles, and they have their own. So you won't find Uber and Ola there because by legally they are not prohibited there. वहाँ पे अलाउड नहीं है, क्योंकि क्या हुआ, हंगामा किया बहुत लोगों ने वहाँ पे, आंदोलन करते हैं हमारी नौकरी चली जाएगी और ये उबर हमारे रोजगार छीन लेगा और ऐसा। बाद में गवर्नमेंट एक लॉ लॉ रूल ही बना दिया, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली गवर्नमेंट तो लोगों के लिए है। अब लोग ही आंदोलन कर रहे हैं कि हम ये हमारा कुछ नहीं रहेंगे, तो गोवा में लॉ बन गया कि ओला उबर नहीं आएगा। सेम वे जब उबर एक्सपैंड कर रहा था ऑल ओवर पार्ट्स में अपने देश में जहाँ पे वो स्टार्ट हुआ, वहाँ पे एक चैलेंज था कि बहुत लोग आंदोलन में आ गए, जो प्राइवेट टैक्सी सर्विसेज थे उबर के खिलाफ। बाद में लीगल इश्यूज आने लगे, क्योंकि अनवांटेड आप तो प्रिपेयर नहीं थे ना। आपको क्या पता था कि यहाँ पे आके बहुत सारे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आएंगे या बहुत सारे लोग आके हमारे खिलाफ आंदोलन करने लग जाएंगे। हो सकता है उनको आप फायदा ही दे रहे होंगे, प्रॉफिट ही दे रहे होंगे, बट हो सकता है कि उनके जो जो पहले वहाँ के जो लोग हैं उनको पिच किया दिमाग में या माइंड में, जो माइंडसेट बना दिया, वो लीगल कंप्लेंसेस क्रिएट कर आपके खिलाफ ही, आप जिसके लिए प्रिपेयर ही नहीं थे। तो कई बार जब हम एक्सपैंड करने की बात कर रहे होते हैं ना, लीगल वाले को साइड कर देते हैं। इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू टेक केयर ऑफ लीगल्स कंप्लाइंसेस। हर स्टेट में जहाँ एक्सपैंड कर रहे हैं उनकी पॉलिसीज को आपके रीजन में जरूर पढ़ लीजिए, और ये भी देख लीजिए क्या इससे पहले वहाँ पे किस तरीके के फैक्टर्स रहे हैं, क्या लीगल कंप्लाइंसेस अदर स्टार्टअप्स को या अदर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को फेल करना पड़ा। इससे बिहार इज नॉट मच फ्रेंडली इन टर्म्स ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस बाय पीपल। तो आप बिहार में देखेंगे ओला हर सिटीज में नहीं है बिहार के, दो पीपल हैव पेइंग कैपेसिटी, बट यू वोंट फाइंड ओला एवरीवेयर इन बिहार, एवरी सिटी, वेरी फ्यू सिटीज दे हैव ओला, क्योंकि लोग सिक्योर भी फील नहीं करते, थोड़ा डिफरेंट रीजन पे। तो आप लीगल कंप्लाइंसेस जरूर देखिएगा, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है। मैं उबर ओला की एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि दे आर वेल कनेक्टेड, आई एम सेइंग सेम वे नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई कि हर स्टेट का अपना लीगल प्रोसेस होता है, लीगल तरीका होता है काम करने का, मैकेनिज्म होता है। सेम वे हर कंट्री का अपना मैकेनिज्म है, अपना काम करने का, उनका लीगल प्रोसेस अलग है। तो उसमें आप क्या आपके ऐसा तो नहीं कि आपको कुछ हिंड्रेंस है तो मत चाहिए प्लीज़, क्योंकि आपके पास उतना टाइम नहीं है। आप एक लीगल टीम अलग तैयार करेंगे, आप उसके लिए फाइट करेंगे और फिर उतना टाइम इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, क्योंकि आप डाइवर्ट ही हो जाता है पूरा। अब आप स्केल करेंगे, आपका प्लानिंग कुछ और था, ये अनवांटेड रिस्क आ गया जिसका आपको पता ही नहीं था। अब जो आंदोलन कर रहे हैं, अब जो वो जाके आपको पता चला उनको आप हैंडल कर रहे हैं, लॉयर्स बैठा रहे हैं, वो उनके आंदोलन को देख रहे हैं, उनके अप्लाइंसेस को पढ़ रहे हैं, तो आपका भी इंटरेस्ट बहुत डाइवर्ट हो जाएगा उधर। आपका बहुत सा टाइम उस जगह पे जाएगा जहाँ पे आप सोचा भी नहीं था। इसलिए लीगल चीज़ों को बहुत ध्यान रखना, यू शुड लुक इनटू इट, दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट। और मार्केट सैचुरेशंस, इफ द मार्केट इज नॉट रेडी, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। जैसे मैंने बायजूस का एग्जांपल दिया था कि हो सकता है कि हर कोई रेडी ना हो आपके प्रोडक्ट के, तो हर किसी को कंज्यूमर समझना भी नहीं है। तो स्केल करने में सबसे बड़ी गलती हम ये भी करते हैं, कई बार हम हर किसी को कंज्यूमर ही मान लेते हैं। तो वो भी नहीं करना, हमें अंडरस्टैंड जरूर करना है कि जो सजेशन लेवल है वो कहाँ है, किस पे है और किस लेवल पे है। हर कोई मेरा कंज्यूमर नहीं हो सकता। फॉर एग्जाम्पल जब मुझसे लोग सवाल पूछते हैं कि कैफे में तो क्या कौन है कंज्यूमर, बोलते हैं, मैं बोलता हूँ बहुत नीच मार्केट है हमारा। नीच मार्केट मतलब द पीपल हु बुक रीडर्स, पीपल हु लव टू शेयर स्टोरीज, पीपल हु लव टू करेक्ट पीपल। हम हर किसी को टारगेट कर ही नहीं रहे और बुलाना भी नहीं हर किसी को, क्योंकि हमें पता है कि रेवेन्यू आने से मतलब है ना, हमें प्रॉफिट आने से मतलब है। अगर एक सिटी में 10,000 लोग रहते हैं और 1,000 लोग मेरे मेंबर हैं उस कैफे के, हम प्रॉफिट में हैं, हमें 10,000 लोग को अट्रैक्ट भी नहीं करना। तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आपका सिचुएशन लेवल बहुत जरूरी होना चाहिए मार्केट में। हाँ, हर किसी को मार्केट मत कंसिडर कीजिए, हर किसी को अपना कंज्यूमर बना लीजिए, क्योंकि जितना आप हर किसी में जाएंगे ना, उतना ही प्रॉब्लम्स आपके लिए बढ़ जाएगी, चैलेंजेस बढ़ जाएंगे। सो हैव योर ओन मार्केट वेरी सेगमेंटेड, क्या है आपका, कौन है, क्या है उसका बिहेवियर, कैसा है, क्या साइकोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर कैसा है, कैसा दिखता है वो, क्या सोचता है, कहाँ रहता है, कैसा खाता है, क्या पीता है। इतना अगर क्लियर है ना आपका कि कौन है आपका मार्केट, तो आपको ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं है। फाइनेंशियल के बारे में तो हमने बात कर ही ली है थोड़ी थोड़ी। ये अनस्टेबिलिटी ले सकता है, बहुत कुछ हो सकता है, क्योंकि हम बहुत प्लान नहीं होता जब ग्रो कर रहे होते हैं। सो दैट्स रिस्क टू स्लो में बहुत। अब हमने जितनी बातें की, हमें लगता है ऐसे लोग को ऐसा लग रहा हो कि स्केल करना ही नहीं है। अभी तो इतनी बातें हो रही है कि स्केल करना ही गलत है, मतलब सब कुछ गलत है। अगर सेम थिंग, अब इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट जो 6 पॉइंट्स है, अगर आप स्केल नहीं कर रहे हो तो अब क्या हो, क्या क्या लूज कर देंगे। सबसे पहले तो है इनोवेशन लूज कर देंगे आप। क्योंकि मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया उबर का, कि उबर ने जब स्टार्ट किया अपने नेशन में, उसमें इंडिया में ओला आया पहले। अब उबर इंडिया में नहीं आया क्योंकि लीगल कंप्लाइंसेस ऑलरेडी फेस कर चुका था अपने कंट्री में। उसको लगा यार इतना जल्दी एक्सपैंड करेंगे, हो सकता है हमारे साथ दिक्कतें हो, और इंडिया इज अ वेरी डिफरेंट डाइवर्स कंट्री विद अ वेरी डिफरेंट डाइवर्स कल्चर, वी मे नॉट हैव अ एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी, वे एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे, उबर को ये लगा। लेकिन किसी ने देखा ये तो ऐसा कुछ कर रहे हैं, हम भी कर सकते हैं। तो आज ओला के जो फाउंडर्स है उन्होंने ये शुरू कर दिया, बोला ठीक है हम करेंगे, एंड दे बीन सक्सेसफुल आल्सो। दे उन्होंने अभी सक्सेसफुल भी हो गए, अच्छा भी किया। अभी जब वो इनोवेशंस में क्या है, अब ओला ने यही गलती को नहीं दोहराए, तो ओला ने उबर की हर एक कंप्लाइंसेस को पहले पढ़ा, उनकी केस स्टडी को अच्छे से पढ़ा कि उन्होंने क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम फेस की, क्या किए नहीं किए। सेम वे में ओला ने एक्सपैंड तो किया, बहुत स्केल किया। अब देखिए ओला ने स्केल ऐसे नहीं किया कि ओला केवल गाड़ियां दे रहा है आपको, सर्विसेज दे रहा है। अब वो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में आ गया। अब वो ओला इलेक्ट्रिक बाइक मैन्युफैक्चर कर रहा है, दैट्स आल्सो स्केलिंग। मतलब एक तो होता है कि वर्टिकली स्केल कर रहा है, और एक होता है हॉरिजॉन्टली स्केल कर रहा है। तो इसने वर्टिकली तो स्केल कर ही लिया, ऊपर से नीचे तक आ गया, बोला जितने मैक्सिमम शहर में जा सकते थे वो चले गए, और सर्विसेज भी दे रहे हैं अभी, और प्रॉफिट्स में भी थे। अब वो हॉरिजॉन्टली स्केल कर रहा है, मतलब अलग अलग इंडस्ट्रीज को भी टच कर रहा है। सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप स्केल करें। अगर आप स्केल नहीं कर रहे तो चैलेंजेस आर वेरी हाई कि आप अपना इनोवेशन लूज कर देंगे, आपकी आइडिया पे कोई और काम करने लगेगा। हो सकता है आप कर्नाटका में काम कर रहे हो, वो उसका बैंगलोर में आप काम कर रहे हैं, वो बिहार में पटना में बैठा है, और आपको कहाँ पता पटना में कौन लोग क्या सोचते हैं। मतलब आपका ही आइडिया कॉपी पटना में चल रहा है, हो सकता है किसी ने वाराणसी में शुरू कर दिया, किसी ने दिल्ली में शुरू कर दिया। तो ये लॉस हो सकता है, और ये बहुत बड़ा लॉस है, क्योंकि आपकी जो कैपेबिलिटीज थी बिजनेस की ग्रो करने की, आपकी जो आइडिया में जो इनोवेशन था, जो ज़्यादा लार्जर मार्केट को सॉल्व कर सकता था, वो तो कहीं ना कहीं आपके जो स्लो अप स्पीड था आपका स्केल करने का, या आपने मार्केट नहीं समझा, जिसकी वजह से आपने लूज कर दिया। इंक्रीज्ड कॉम्पिटिशंस, ऑब्वियसली जैसे मैंने बोला कि आप जब बैंगलोर में शुरू किया, आपने कर्नाटका में कोई आइडिया, और पटना में किसी और ने शुरू कर दिया, तो पटना के लोगों ने उसको पहले एक्सेप्ट करना है, आपको बाद में करना है। भले ही आप इनोवेटर हो, आपने उस आइडिया को दिया हो अवार्ड, आपने जन्म दिया उस आइडिया को, लेकिन जो मेरे पास आपको मैं एग्जांपल दूंगा कि आपके 4-5 रिलेटिव्स है, दोस्त है आपके बहुत सारे। तो आपके जो दोस्त है वो आकर बोल रहे हैं कि मुझे इस कैफे में जाना है, और आपको किसी ने रिकमेंड किया कि फलाना कैफे अच्छा है, मतलब किसी अननोन लोग हैं, तो आप किसकी बात सुनेंगे? जो नोन लोग हैं, जो आपके रिलेटिव्स हैं, जो आपके फ्रेंड्स हैं। सेम वे में जो आपके करीब है, आप उसको ट्रस्ट करेंगे। तो अगर आपके कॉम्पिटिटर्स हैं दूसरे स्टेट्स में, जो आपकी आइडिया पे काम करने आपकी बात शुरू किया, आपके आइडिया को चोरी करके किया, लेकिन वहाँ के लोग पहले उनको ट्रस्ट करेंगे, आपको बाद में करेंगे। इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप कॉम्पिटिटर को खत्म कर सकते हैं अगर, जैसे अभी मैं बोल रहा हूँ ह्यूमैनिटी कैफे के बारे में, डायरेक्ट कॉम्पिटिटर नहीं है हमारा कोई भी, क्योंकि कोई भी ऐसा कैफे है ही नहीं जहाँ पे ये सब कुछ हो रहा है। ये द वेरी फर्स्ट कैफे इन इंडिया। अभी भी आप ह्यूमैनिटी कैफे गूगल में सर्च करेंगे तो आपको दिखेगा इंडिया फर्स्ट वेरी फर्स्ट कैफे वी कैन बोरो इन इंडिया। लेकिन ये तब तक है जब तक हम एक स्केल नहीं कर रहे। अगर किसी और ने अपना ये शुरू कर दिया ये आइडिया तो किसी कैफे में, तो फिर हमें वो प्रॉब्लम होगी, क्योंकि हम फिर मेरा यूनिकनेस ही खत्म हो गया ना, हम कैसे पिच करेंगे उस आइडिया को। तो कॉम्पिटिटर्स बढ़ जाएंगे। और तीसरा है टैलेंट ट्रेन। ये क्यों है टैलेंट ट्रेन की, मैं बता दूँ। हम लोग हर कोई अच्छी लाइफ चाहता है, हर किसी की लाइफ में मोटिवेशन है कि बड़ा करना है, अभी यहाँ तक पहुँच के इसके आगे क्या करना है। अगर आपका आइडिया बस स्टिक हो गया एक ही जगह पे, तो आपका फिक्स रेवेन्यू होगा, तो आप अपनी सैलरी में कोई कंपनसेशन में तो कोई बढ़ोतरी नहीं कर पा रहे, उसमें तो कुछ बढ़ा के नहीं दे पा रहे आप, तो कोई मोटिवेशन ही नहीं है उस एम्प्लॉय को रहने का उधर, तो उसको जहाँ अच्छा अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगा भाग जाएगा। मुझे तो ग्रोथ दिखना चाहिए ना। फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं ग्रोथ माइंड सेट के साथ काम कर रहा हूँ, मुझे लग रहा है कि अच्छा ये स्टार्टअप है, मैंने ज्वाइन तो किया था कि 3 साल में ये सारी इतनी बड़ी कंपनी हो जाएगी और इसमें हम इतना जल्दी ग्रो कर जाएंगे, लेकिन ऐसा हुआ नहीं। सो देन यू रियलाइज कि अच्छा scale is not happening, growth is somewhere not there. If the growth is not there, your competition would not be this strong, and you may have proposals from other companies who are looking for certain experienced people. You will lose your talent. लोग आपके अच्छे से काम के लोग जो है वो दूसरे शहर दूसरी कंपनीज में चला जाएंगे अगर उनको फिक्स टाइम पे ग्रोथ और वो कंपनसेशन नहीं मिले। और इनसफिशिएंट रिसोर्स यूटिलाइजेशन, ये इसलिए भी इम्पोर्टेंट है इनसफिशिएंट वाला बात, जो रिसोर्सेज यूटिलाइजेशन है, क्योंकि हो सकता है कि आपकी कैपेबिलिटीज थी ग्रो करने की, आपके आइडिया में वो दम था, वो कैपेसिटी थी आपके उस बिजनेस आइडिया में जो स्केल कर सकता था, जो लोगों की प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर सकता था। लेकिन क्योंकि हमने यूटिलाइज नहीं किया, हमने स्ट्रेंथ आइडेंटिफाई नहीं किया, उसको ये समझा नहीं कि वो मेरा स्ट्रेंथ हो सकता है या मैं उसमें ग्रो कर सकता हूँ, तो हम शायद काम नहीं किया और हम उसको यूटिलाइज ही नहीं कर पाए, हमें पता ही नहीं था कि कितना स्ट्रांग हो सकता है। Segmentations and missed opportunities. I'll discuss both together. As I said, कि uh, when it comes to any idea, for example, somebody is manufacturing something at their home. मैं अपने घर में बैठ करके एक ऐसा सोप तैयार कर रहा हूँ जिसको आप स्किन में लगाने से स्किन में जो पोर्स हैं या जो दाने हैं या जो पिंपल्स हैं उसको ख़त्म कर सकते हैं। अगर मैं ये घर में बैठ करके ये तैयार कर रहा हूँ और मैंने जब इसको बेचना शुरू किया अपने आसपास के एरियाज़ में, तो लोगों को बेनिफिट हुआ और लोगों ने इसको फिर खरीदा और लोगों को फ़ायदा हुआ और लोग मेरे रिपीटेटिव कस्टमर्स हो गए। लेकिन ये मेरे घर के पास हो रहा है, लेकिन पिंपल्स की प्रॉब्लम ऑल ओवर इंडिया में, ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड में है लोगों को, लेकिन सर जो सॉल्यूशन मैं दे रहा हूँ वो कोई और नहीं दे रहा होगा। तो क्या हुआ, मैंने एनालाइज नहीं किया अपनी कैपेसिटी को, मैं उतने ही तक स्टिक रहा और मैंने क्या मिस कर दिया, मेरे पास जो अपॉर्चुनिटीज थी अपने रेवेन्यू को 10 टाइम्स करने की, अपने आइडिया को और स्केल करने की, नॉट ओनली स्केलिंग इन, आई एम टेलिंग यू कि हम केवल ये ना देखें कि पैसा कमाने हैं बहुत ज़्यादा या हम बहुत ज़्यादा ग्रो कर जाएंगे, इट्स ऑल्सो इम्पैक्टिंग पीपल्स लाइफ। हो सकता है जितने, क्योंकि आइडिया आपका है, आपने जब स्टार्ट किया तो आप रूटेड हो उस एथिक्स के साथ जिसने आप शुरुआत की है आपने। तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि हो सकता है कि आपने जो आज 500 लोगों की लाइफ बदल पा रहे हैं, ये 200 लोगों की लाइफ बदल पा रहे हैं, 1000 लोगों की लाइफ बदल पा रहे हैं, हो सकता था कि अगर आप स्केल किए होते तो 10 लाख करोड़, more than crores people have been impacted. You have might have touched their lives with your status, made their life easier. Not only about your growth, the company growth, it's also about touching impact some people, bringing people's life. बोले ने हमारी लाइफ में चेंजेस लाए हैं, लाइक कोई हो सकता है हमारे पास कार रखने की आपसे, लेकिन आज एटलीस्ट हम कार में घूम सकते हैं और उतने ही किलोमीटर के लिए चाहिए जितने किलोमीटर हम चल सकते हैं। पहले तो इमेजिन नहीं कर सकते थे, आज से 10 साल पहले कैसा हो सकता है। हमें जब भी हायरिंग करनी होती थी तो ऑटो लेते थे या तो टैक्सीज लेते थे, टैक्सी हर शहर में तो थी नहीं, तो हमारे पास ऑप्शन क्या बचा था, हमारे पास ऑप्शन था कि हम हायर करें पूरे दिन के लिए, हमें भले काम 1 घंटे के लिए हो। So 3 examples which I'll share, which actually can give other examples. But Fab.com, which is an e-commerce platform, who actually got the product experience into the company. And why I'm saying the fab before the job, the only reason is that they expanded well. But when they started scaling their idea, they had to lay off their significant portion of people. Why? Because when they have started expanding this idea for global presence too quickly, they didn't have a time to work on to loopholes and other compliances, the challenges which may come after once they have scaled it up. Because before Fab.com had started exploring and scaling up, nothing has happened before in that industry. So they did not have actually, or even case studies also to look into it, prepare themselves well in advance while they were scaling up. But if you are an e-commerce platform, you have n number of example and case studies which can actually prepare yourself that if you're scaling up, what up challenges will be coming up. So Fab.com, see, they have done a fabulous work. But due to experiences into scaling their idea, earlier because they haven't anyone have not entered the same industry, they had some challenges. But I would say if the Fab.com would have scaled up now, they have done well. Because a lot of case studies we have, which actually can help you and guide you in how to prepare your team's thing. So example who scaled very slow, BlackBerry, Kodak and Xerox, they're pretty big companies I would say, and they have been doing well. Abibi, I would say they're doing well, but at the same time they have lose their market. All three of them have lose their market. BlackBerry because they haven't have touchscreen, they believe that their customers are very loyal. They actually love the black color of BlackBerry. They are very comfortable with keypad. They didn't understand that market is changing very rapidly. People behaviors, their identity, their psychologically things are changing. People were very comfortable with BlackBerry keypad because the keypad of BlackBerry was very good. But digital presence, like where you have to touch, and you're comfortable with it, and people started exploring. BlackBerry realizes very late, so BlackBerry loses brand. Same way, one if you remember, if you can ask your mother and father when you, they'll tell you the Kodak was something which everyone is talking about. The Kodak was so strong brand that time. The Kodak was one. If you have to buy any camera, the Kodak used to be the first numbers. So, but they didn't have the market study ready. So we also understand one thing. You may have been doing well at the same time, but we need to study the behaviors are changing. No, earlier we have AI was not there. No, augmented virtual reality is taking place. So technology is advancing day by day. Same way we are adopting technology. As a company and service provider, it's very important to have a very key eye on people's changing behavior and a technology perspective also, so that you can bring changes into your perspective. Same way, Nokia also lose their market because Nokia said, "I'll not bring with Android. I'm okay with my operating services." And then Nokia was so proficient to the company. Nokia was one very strong company. Nowhere you don't find any Nokia phones now. The reason because they actually did not adapt the changes. Xerox, I would say Xerox was a company who invented Photoshop's photocopy machine. So I also remember when I go to photocopying market or shop, we used to say Xerox kar dijiye. Xerox has so influence on people that without saying photocopy, we used to say Xerox कर दीजिए क्योंकि अडेप्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं आप उस तरीके से आप अपने मार्केट को लूज कर देते हैं तो बहुत ज़रूरी है मार्केट को समझना उनके बिहेवियर पे आए रखना और जो चेंजेस आ रहे हैं उसको अपने अंदर अडॉप्ट करना अपने सर्विसेज में अडॉप्ट करना ताकि आप खुद को प्रिपेयर कर सके एडवांस में अभी 5 साल आपने ये तो सोचा है कि आप स्केल करेंगे लेकिन 5 साल में क्या क्या बदलाव आएंगे लोग के जीवन में वो भी आपके जीवन का हिस्सा होना चाहिए वो बहुत ज़रूरी है जहाँ पे हम अगर फेल कर सकते हैं तो बैलेंसिंग द रिस्क इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टेक अवेज आई वुड से कि इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज अगर आप बैलेंस कर पा रहे हैं चीज़ों को तो आप बेहतर करेंगे, आप स्ट्रांग होंगे और आप स्केल करेंगे भी, तो आप वो रिस्क जो फैक्टर्स है वो कम हो जाएंगे आपके। तो कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क होना ज़रूरी है। कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क लीजिए। अगर आपको 10 टाइम्स मल्टीप्लाई करना है, स्केल करना है, तो स्केल कीजिए। 10 टाइम्स करने का मतलब क्या है, ज़्यादा लूज होगा, लॉस होगा आपको अगर आप रिस्क में हैं। तो ऐसा कीजिए, 10 टाइम्स करने के बजाय पहले 3 टाइम्स करेंगे, पहले हम 4 टाइम्स करेंगे। उन रीजन में करेंगे जो सिमिलर बिहेवियर वाले लोग हैं, उन रीजन में करेंगे जहाँ पे हमें सेम लोग मिल रहे हैं। तो कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क लीजिए, ताकि आपको वो नुकसान ना झेलना पड़े जो आपको कहीं भी पहुंचा सकते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपको कहीं से कहीं ले जाने का। और कई बार क्या होता है कि हम वर्टिकली ही सोच रहे होते हैं, हम हॉरिजॉन्टली भी स्केल कर सकते हैं। तो जरूरत नहीं है कि हम एक ही डायरेक्शन में सोचें, आप अलग अलग रीजन में भी स्केल कर सकते हैं। दैट्स समथिंग व्हिच आई वुड से कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क। अभी पहले क्या था कि जैसे स्टार्टअप्स के हमारे पास केस स्टडीज नहीं थे। अभी बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप्स फेल हो गए, बड़ा बड़ा यूनिकॉर्न होके फेल हो गए। उनकी केस स्टडीज हमें बता सकते हैं बहुत कुछ। तो कैलकुलेटेड रिस्क ले के काम करना चाहिए। और अडेप्ट एंड लिटरेट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। जैसे मैंने अभी बताया कि जेरोक्स, कोडेक एंड ब्लैकबेरी या नोकिया, मैंने अडेप्ट ही नहीं किया। और अडॉप्ट नहीं करने की वजह से क्या हुआ कि वो बाहर हो गए, नए लोग एंटर करके जिनका कोई मार्केट ही नहीं था। ब्लैकबेरी का जितना एरिया था या नोकिया का जितना मार्केट साइज था, तो सैमसंग का था ही नहीं। जैसे ही नोकिया ने डिसीजन लिया कि हम एंड्रॉइड में नहीं आएंगे, सैमसंग ने उसका पूरा मार्केट ले लिया। तो आपको अडॉप्ट करने के लिए तैयार रहना है। और ये तैयार इसलिए भी रहना है क्योंकि लोग बदल रहे हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ लोग अडॉप्ट कर रहे हैं, अपने आप को एडवांस कर रहे हैं। तो आपके अंदर भी एडवांस आपकी सर्विसेज में और आपके कैपेबिलिटीज में, चीज़ों में होना चाहिए। Continuously monitor and evaluate, it's very important. Same way to your companies के एम्प्लॉइज के साथ साथ, अपने प्रोडक्ट के साथ साथ, सर्विसेज के साथ साथ आप अपने आप को इवेल्युएट कीजिए कि जितना आप सोच रहे थे, जितना आप समझ रहे थे, क्या उसी तरीके से स्केल कर पा रहे हैं, क्या वही फैक्टर है जो काम कर रहे हैं, या कुछ नए हिंड्रेंस आ रहे हैं। वो बहुत ज़रूरी है। क्योंकि कई बार क्या होता है, जब हम आगे बढ़ रहे होते हैं ना, मैंने बोला जब हम स्केल बहुत फास्ट कर रहे होते हैं, उस समय शायद हमारे पास टाइम कम होता है लूपहोल को आइडेंटिफाई करने का। But there has to be certain segment of your life should be given to this way. Time of yours. अगर आप हफ्ते में 7 दिन ऑफिस कर रहे हैं या 5 दिन ऑफिस कर रहे हैं, 4 दिन ऑफिस कर रहे हैं, तो एटलीस्ट 3 hours in a week should be given on to discuss what went wrong. आप 4 दिन 5 दिन जो भी ऑफिस आ रहे हैं, कर रहे हैं काम, पांचों दिन यही काम कीजिए। कैसे आगे बढ़ेंगे, क्या बढ़ेंगे, क्या कर रहे हैं, नहीं कर रहे। एटलीस्ट एक वीक में 3 से 4 घंटा जरूर रखिए ये डिस्कस करने के लिए गलत कहाँ गया, इस हफ्ते क्या गलत हुआ, या इस हफ्ते में ऐसा क्या हुआ जो हम नहीं कर रहे थे, नहीं उम्मीद कर रहे थे। पता है, ये छोटे छोटे प्रॉब्लम जब होंगे ना, तो उसका सॉल्यूशन निकालना आसान होगा और आप उसको बेटर तरीके से ग्रो कर पाएंगे। आपके चैलेंजेस कम हो जाएंगे। लेकिन क्या होता है, जब आप स्केल कर गए और आपको एकदम समझ में आ गया, अरे ये तो बहुत बड़ा गैप आ गया, तो उस समय आपको एकदम समझ भी नहीं आएगा क्या करना है। लेकिन ये 3 से 4 घंटा जो आप लगा रहे हैं ना, वो अगर आप कर पा रहे हैं, तो वो आपको एक्चुअली में उस बड़े गैप को फिल करने में मदद करेगा। कभी इतना बड़ा प्रॉब्लम आएगा ही नहीं आपके पास कि आपको ये सोचना पड़ेगा कहाँ से आ गया। तो क्या आप पहले से प्रिपेयर होंगे, एडवांस होंगे आप तरीके से। प्लीज़ मॉनिटर करते रहिए अपने आप को 3 घंटा जरूर। एक्सपर्ट गाइडेंस के साथ मैंने बोला कि केस स्टडीज़ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। जिस एरिया में भी आप इंडस्ट्री में एंटर कर रहे हैं, वहाँ के लोगों को स्टडी करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। और स्टडी करने के साथ साथ बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप्स हैं जो उन्होंने फेल किया है, उनकी केस स्टडीज़ को पढ़िए। और बहुत सारे एक्सपर्ट्स लोग हैं जिनकी गाइडेंस आप ज़रूर ले सकते हैं। मेंटर्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। दैट्स व्हाट ह्यूमैनिटी कैफे बिलीव्स इन। हम ये मानते हैं, हम हर चीज़ गलती करके क्यों सीखें, क्योंकि हम उतना समय बर्बाद कर देंगे। हमारे पास वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने वो गलती की है, तो लेट्स लर्न फ्रॉम देयर मिस्टेक्स rather than doing ourselves same mistakes and then learning out of it. मतलब हम भी वही गलती करें और फिर सीखें। इससे बेहतर है मेरी गलती किसी और ने कर दी है, वैसे व्यक्ति को ढूंढ लें, उससे समझ लें और खुद को प्रिपेयर करें। So that's very important. Look for people who are experienced into it, who have a strong idea or strength into it. They can actually help you that to prepare yourself. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone who have watching me.
Ankit sir, sorry to interrupt. You are on mute actually.
या मुझे भी ऐसा लगा था आवाज नहीं आ रही.
Sorry. So yes. So thank you very much, Ayush ji, for your time, and you shared information about what are the different parameter which we need to take care when we take a decision and when we start a scaling up of our startup. आपने मेंशन किया कि उन्हें कैलकुलेटिव रिस्क लेना चाहिए, एडॉप्टिव नेचर होना चाहिए, फ्लेक्सिबल नेचर होना चाहिए, और एक एक जो बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट जो आपने मेंशन किया, always encourage the culture of experimentation and learning from failure, right? And you
Yeah,
mentioned this very important mindset of having a vertical scaling as well as horizontal scaling. So yeah, so thank you very much once again. We really grateful to you on behalf of Jabalpur Smart City and Jabalpur Incubation Center. We really thanks to you for today's session. Thank you.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you, thank you.